Hey guys, today's video we're going to be looking at the assault rifle class in High Guard. It's important to note that this is strictly on the 4 rifles and not the LMG you can get from the supply drop called the Big Rig. I think it's important to note that this is just data from my tests. You'll be seeing screenshots from my Excel where I'll also kind of explain how I got the results I did. However, it is a little bit difficult to know things like um, rounds per minute or how fast each gun shoots. I was able to test damage through my tests. I was able to figure out, or I guess guesstimate, that each player starts with 90 HP, which I found weird. It wasn't 100, but I believe it's about 90 HP. And then each shield, gray, blue, purple, and orange, add a predetermined amount of extra health, essentially. Another thing through my testing is I found that when you break a shield, any excess damage that the bullet would have done, I believe is ignored or I guess deleted from existence and doesn't count towards your time to kill. So the 5 guns we will be talking about are the Vanguard, the Dynasty, and the Saber Rifle. The Vanguard does 9 damage per shot across any color variant, gray to purple. The Dynasty does 14 shot damage per shot for gray to the gold variant Building Breaker. However, it does have a gold impact variant that does 21 damage per shot, but it does slow the rate of fire down. The Saber Rifle, which is the 3-round burst rifle, does 18 damage per shot or 54 damage per burst. Because shields give you extra health, the amount of bullets it takes to kill change based on the shield the enemy is wearing. You can see that in the screenshot. Based on this, the Saber Rifle and the Dynasty Gold Impact Rifle require the least amount of shots to kill. It is important to note that this does not take into effect headshots. The headshot multiplier on the Vanguard is 1.55. On the Dynasty, Gold to Building Breaker is 1.71. On the Gold Impact is 2.05. And on the Saber Rifle is 1.5. I do want to make it very clear that I've not taken into account headshots or critical hits at all in any of these tests, as they were very hard to factor in, and I didn't know how they would react to the shield overlay, not the shield over damage not counting towards your kill. With the goal of ultimately getting to time to kill for each weapon, I then had to look at rounds per minute. This was very hard to test as there is no in-game value regarding rate of fire. To test this, I took my phone out, used the stopwatch, and figured out how fast it would take to empty a mag. I did this 5 times for each gun, with the exception of the Dynasty. I did it for the purple variant and the gray variant just to ensure that variants don't affect rate of fire. They don't, you can see in the screenshot. And then using the mag and 60 seconds, I was able to basically figure out the rounds per minute, which you see on your screen. The Vanguard has the highest rounds per minute. I was then able to get the damage per second by taking the damage of each shot by each weapon and their rounds per minute. I was able to figure out the rounds per second and ultimately the damage per second with the gold impact version of the Dynasty having the highest damage per second, followed closely by the normal, gray, blue, purple, and Building Breaker versions of the Dynasty at 137.56. Lastly, we get to time to kill, the stat everyone's been waiting on. You have Vanguard in last place for all armor types. Then it goes to the Saber Rifle and the Dynasty Gray to the Gold Building Breaker, tied for second, and the winner is the Dynasty Gold Impact. So, assuming you hit all your shots, and none of them are headshots because those have been excluded, the Gold Impact version of the Dynasty has the fastest time to kill at every armor level, and the Vanguard has the worst. Interestingly enough, I find that I tend to use the Vanguard more. I don't know if it's the recoil pattern or what it is about the gun, but I feel like I do better with it. So definitely down, let me know down in the comments what gun you prefer best out of the rifles. Thanks for watching, and I'll do more of analysis on the other weapons coming soon. Peace.